for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.
Oh, look who found their hat.
I found it. Very, very happy about this, Saul. Very, very happy. We have Mr. Rogers in the house as well. The hood's been good to me. This is very, very true. But now, joined by the boss, Saul Bookman. Hello, Saul. How are you doing?
Hello. How are you doing, buddy?
Not bad, not bad. We are going to talk a lot of Arizona football today. They made a lot of announcements yesterday, a lot of players that we're going to go through the class and talk about some of the players that we are most enthused by, Saul Bookman. First off, the boss goes first. Who's one of the people that you're really looking at?
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. That's a long list.
It is. We'll start with one and then we'll work back.
Let's go with the running back that just signed yesterday. How about the guy from that was apparently at 6 different places or had some eligibility issues and all this other stuff. Like, I'm excited for him. Jacory
Croskey-Merritt, very excited. Oh, Tony Jones in here, the great Tony Jones. We're going to talk about AJ Jones, your son, here in a little bit. But Jacory Croskey-Merritt, big pickup from was in New Mexico State last year, rushed for about 1,200 yards, 19 touchdowns, was going to come to the U of A, and they found out that he they didn't think he was eligible. Neither did Ole Miss. Neither did Texas A&M. Come to find out that he is eligible and that he was sharing jerseys with players on his own team in a smaller school in Alabama.
It felt like such a Manti Te'o type of story.
It really is. It's bizarre. When I first heard it, I'm like, no way. There's no way that's true. And the coach told me, he's like, yep, it's true, 100%. So he's been cleared. He's going to be the number one tailback. Behind the scenes, nobody's really quiet about that. It's going to be committee approach, but I do believe that he's going to be somebody that's going to probably get about 55 to 60% of the carries. He's somebody that has an NFL future, and you can also tell as well by the schools that were interested, that wanted to get him. Texas A&M, Ole Miss. These are top 15. These are top 15, top 20 type recruiting schools. Big stuff for Jacory Croskey-Merritt from New Mexico.
Listen. Okay, I get it. I screwed up. I said New Mexico, not New Mexico State. I thought it was New Mexico.
It is New Mexico.
You said New Mexico State.
Did I? Well, I do apologize. I said that.
I had that right.
Well, I apologize then. I apologize.
Right. I was just making sure. I was I swear he was wearing the bright red.
We are very, very excited about this guy, though. Again, he's going to be the bell cow for him again.
How about all the Polynesians, huh?
Yeah,
man. Yeah. Loading up.
Right. I do apologize. I said New Mexico State. I am getting slapped around right now. I should get slapped around. Okay, but
you should also get slapped around for your egregious take on Chase Budinger yesterday. But I will leave that alone.
No, he's dude. He's an all-time. He's awesome. He just couldn't move laterally. That's all. He'd be an NBA All-Star if he did that. That's all.
Stop.
All right. Now, the other one I really like too, the backfield. We're going to talk the backfield and we're going to work our way out. Quali Conley out of San Jose State as well. Another guy that rushed for 1,000 yards last year. Also at about 7 yards per pop. Now, again, I get these are from smaller schools, but these are very good players. And Arizona needed to fill out this running back room. This running back room now is loaded, and we didn't even get to Kedrick Riscano. I love what they did. Quali Conley and Jacory Croskey-Merritt, both very, very good.
Yeah, it's going to be I'm very excited for this running back competition. You know, in addition to those guys, obviously Speedy Luke back there. I think you have a variety of different guys. It almost kind of like last year where you had a little bit of everything. You had the power back in Jonah. You had the crafty kind of, bigger back that could come out of the backfield and Wiley. Then you had Speedy Luke, and you had just a variety of different players and I think you're starting to see that again. And I love it. I'm ready for it.
I'm totally ready for it as well. So again, the running back room is good, but like I said, Jacory Croskey-Merritt is that dude. Keep a very, very close eye on him. We're going to hopscotch around a lot. A player that we haven't necessarily given a lot of love to. We're going to go to the D line now because that's another position that I think a lot of people, are like, all right, well, you got to be able to refresh there because you lost a lot of guys. Kevon Darton, we have not talked about him enough on this show. Kevon Darton was an all ACC performer type guy at Syracuse last year. Defensive tackle, 5'11", 280, 5 sacks. If you go by Pro Football Focus, which I don't, unless it proves my point, he was the best interior lineman in the entire ACC last year. I would be very surprised if he does not start. He's up there. Again, 5 sacks. You're playing in the SEC or ACC. It's not like you're playing, in some other conference. He's somebody that they needed there, especially with some of the loss. I like him a great deal, Saul Bookman.
He's a big, strong kid, man. Oh, well, not big, like in terms of height, but yeah, 5'11". That's the only thing that causes a little concern is that he's like a little bowling ball.
Right.
And you wish he was a little bit taller, a little bit bigger. But hey, if you play well in the ACC, that should mean that you're not going to be a slouch in the Big 12. And I really believe that. I think he's going to be able to hold up just fine in the Big 12. The Big 12's got some, I would say, I would love to see the average defensive and offensive line weights across Big 12 versus the ACC. I would gather that there's probably a little bit of more meat and bones in the Big 12.
More cheese-based dishes going around.
Yeah, a little thick gravy going on. You know what I mean? So I think, I think that, him coming into the Big 12 for us, again, depth is big, but he also was a very good performer. And I'm excited to see what he does here for sure.
Right. Now, another one, Trey Smith. He is out of San Jose State. He's going to be one of your starting defensive ends. Arizona obviously lost Isaiah Ward and Deuce Davis and Taylor Upshaw. Yep. So you need to be able to, you certainly need to be able to get players there. Trey Smith was an all Mountain West performer last year at San Jose State, 6.5 sacks, 70 tackles. That's what they need. Again, another dude that the guys we're going through right now, I expect to come in and start, and we're going to work backwards from there. But Trey Smith and Kevon Darton, both instant impact guys, at least from what you can see from afar.
Absolutely. What do you think about Owen Goss, huh?
I like Owen Goss. I like Owen Goss a great deal. We inadvertently broke his commitment before he announced it yesterday on the show. I feel very bad about this. But Owen, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right. But Owen Goss, I like Owen Goss a great deal. Here's the deal.
Tell me what I need to know about Owen Goss.
Owen Goss, all Ivy League performer, whatever league they're in at Colgate. Very, very good. He can also play closer to the line of scrimmage. I think you're going to see the U of A go with a lot of dollar package this year where you've got your safeties closer to the line of scrimmage. A big reason why is because you've got a ton of safeties now. You've got Dalton Johnson, you've got Gunnar Maldonado, you got Genesis Smith, and now you got Owen Goss. He's going to be in there, and I think he's going to be playing a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. This was a nice little get for him. He's obviously older. He comes in very well proportioned. You got 4 really good safeties, Saul, and they're going to all see the field. And Arizona hasn't really been able to address a Patriot League. Thank you, Andy. Arizona hasn't really been able to address that linebacker spot, but in a pinch, you got a lot of safeties, and some of these safeties are bigger dudes to begin with, so they shouldn't be overwhelmed at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, listen, the Big 12, if you know anything about the Big 12, they like to spread it out. And a lot of teams like to spread it out and go 4 wide, and they like to run and gun a lot. So you're going to need a lot of secondary help in the Big 12 for sure. So I'm excited for the kid. I don't know much about him. I've never really seen him play. Obviously, he's in Colgate. Who the hell watches the Patriot League?
Nobody. Don't act like you haven't watched Colgate, Saul Bookman. Come on.
I have not watched Colgate football.
So where'd you get that smile from? The Colgate smile. Get it?
Ridiculous, this guy.
That was good. It made me laugh. I laughed even if you did not laugh. There's a Colgate smile. But no, I love the safeties. I honestly think that it's the deepest group of safeties in the entire conference. And you also see too, when you have good safety play, it makes up for a variety of mistakes on the other end. Look at like when Dalton Johnson and Gunnar Maldonado actually, started playing well, the entire defense turned over. So again, I think Dwayne Aquina, he wants to have guys that can do that. Owen Goss, a very nice little late edition pickup there. Plus, I would imagine he's fairly smart as well. So we'll go with that. But I like it though. Like it a great deal. Then some of the other ones that we need to talk about, technically not a transfer, although we're just going to go with guys who are new. Chuba May, my friend, Chuba May.
Chuba May, baby.
Great name, great game. Out of UC Davis, he was a all-conference performer. He is the largest person I've ever seen at the U of A. He was next to BBN, Big Bill Norton in camp, and he dwarfed BBN, and BBN is huge. But,
did he really?
Yeah, no, he's huge. This guy's massive. He's about 6'5", probably 6'4", about 355, 360, something like that. He is likely to be one of your nose tackles, or he's going to probably be your nose tackle next to Kevon Darton. They did a good job. Again, he was somebody that Jed Fish brought in, but they were able to keep him in because Jed Fish would have wanted to bring him to Washington as well. More girth, more beef, as they say.
Hey, girth is always good.
Yes, girth is always good. Kip Bennett, great point here about. I love the secondary. My only concern is that other cornerback spot. They've still not really addressed that.
They'll figure it out. Have trust the process.
No, for sure. It's just a little bit of it's an ongoing situation there. It is fluid, as the kids would say. And then some of the other guys too. I get a lot of people asking me, why are you bringing in all these quarterbacks? You bring in a quarterback from NAU. I get all that. You bring in 2 quarterbacks. Listen, at this stage in the game, everybody knows in football, the most important position in all of sports is the quarterback spot. With Noah Fifita, you know what you've got, but with Braden Dorman, with some of these other dudes, you don't know. So you 1000% have to be able to bring in some other guys. And if you bring in, if you have too many quarterbacks, that's a good thing. If you don't have enough quarterbacks, that's not a good thing. Competition is good. I would imagine that there's going to be a ton of back and forth there. It's going to be interesting to see, though, Saul, what goes on. But I'm totally cool. They added another quarterback this class from NAU, and they got 2 coming in next year. I'm more than okay with that. More quarterbacks, not less, Saul Bookman.
Always more. Like, again, especially if you can find some quality ones, just in case. You always like to have the just in case guy.
Right.
We've had the just in case guy for about 2 years.
Who's just in case?
That just in case guy became our maybe potentially one of the best quarterbacks in program history as we move forward. So, in Noah Fifita. So I have no problems with that. And if Braden Dorman has to step in, listen, he's had plenty of reps. He's had plenty of time. He should be super comfortable. He should know the offense inside and out. And I'm hoping for the best when he does step on the field for the first time, if he does.
If he does, we do not want him to get hurt. That is not at all what Saul is saying.
No.
So, somebody that I think is underrated in all this, Raymelo Murphy. A lot of people are like, well, he's from Old Dominion. Yeah. Listen, first of all, he got signed off by Les Fifita. Les Fifita, Noah Fifita's dad, coaches all these guys. He knows everything. He knows everything there is about this kid. Caught for 600 yards last year at Old Dominion as a freshman, 3 touchdowns. He's going to work in the slot. They needed to be able to get some slot guys, especially with Kevin Green moving on, losing Jacob Cowing last year to the NFL. He's somebody that's going to have a real opportunity to play. You probably got 3 wide receivers that are kind of set in stone as being your starters in Malachi Riley, Montana Lamonius Craig, and obviously T-Mac. But this guy's going to get run. The coaching staff spoke very, very highly of him. He's going to get run, and I think he might be one of these underlooked guys or overlooked guys, whatever.
He might be. I mean, again, like, nobody knows how these guys are going to transition from, a small conference, small school in Old Dominion to the big leagues, really. Like, so I'm not going to make predictions based on what I think they can do, but he does have speed. He is a good wide receiver, at least on paper, in that league. So you would think enhanced program, better quarterback, better all-around receivers around him. He's not the go-to guy. Should be serviceable in this offense.
For sure. Now, let's see here. We got some questions. Can we steal Jordan Whitney? I do not believe that's going to happen. We will keep you up to date on that, Jonathan, but that would be a very nice little fit. Cole Tannenbaum. Yeah, Cole Tannenbaum is a very good practice player, so we will not besmirch Cole Tannenbaum. All right, now, I wanted to go with some you did. We will not allow that. Now, I want to go over a little bit of some statistical expectations. All right, let's talk about Killebrew for a second. If you talk about Killebrew at that other DB spot, he was committed to Georgia. He was committed to Louisville. Guys like this, I'm all for bringing in guys like that. But guys that bounce around a ton, I just need to see it. I'm not saying he won't be good, but there's a difference between one dude who's transferring in one time as opposed to being a 2-3 year transfer. That to me is a little bit different, but he's going to get an opportunity at that defensive back position for sure. I mean, again, if you've been recruited by Georgia, you were obviously good at some point.
Yeah, you had to have been. Yeah, at least you think. Yeah.
Right.
Listen, man. I'm excited when players come from big programs, like especially big time programs. We just got one last year in BBN coming from Georgia. Yep. Like, I'm excited when I see these guys because I feel like they're really looking. I don't necessarily think it's just an opportunity to play. I think they're just looking for the right fit.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody inherently comes to Arizona because of the brand of Arizona in football. I don't think that. I mean,
for sure.
Come on. Like,
we can be honest here. Yes.
As much as I love my school, the first name that people think of when it comes to college football is not going to be Arizona. So when a kid chooses to come here, I think they choose it because of more than just the name. It's obviously the program, the fit, the coaching staff, the opportunity to play helps. But a kid like this could see himself thrive. And again, that's the thing that I think I'm most excited about is what can Coach Brennan do to develop these players to get them to the NFL? Can he can he be on the same trajectory as what Jed Fish had started to do before he left? I hope so. I think so. He's seen the model when he was here as a GA back in the day. He's seen tremendous talent come across that field and play in the NFL. He knows what it looks like. So I'm optimistic about it.
What are you looking for? I want to talk statistically a little bit here. Noah Fifita this year. Obviously, you lose Jacob Cowing, but you've obviously still got a really talented receiving core, and you're bringing back 4 of the 5 offensive linemen. I think it's fair to say if he stays healthy, I think this dude's going to throw for about 3,800 yards, 32 touchdowns, something like that, Saul. And I think he's going to complete about 68% of his passes, something like that. I'm very excited to see what kind of statistical numbers he will put up.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
In the Big 12, I mean, I could easily see 36. I could easily see 4,000.
Yeah.
A 4,000 yard, 30 touchdown, 6 interception year would be stellar.
Yeah, and completing again what he does, because like he completes the passes. I mean, he gets 65, 67, 68% of it. I think he's going to put up numbers, honestly, Saul, that are going to rival about any team in the country, outside of some like real maybe run and shoot type things. But I think his numbers are going to rival pretty much anyone's. You know
what I did not expect to see from Noah, because obviously here locally, I've been able to see Kyler Murray, up front and personal, and I could see him throw, and obviously the height thing is where I'm going with this. But Kyler has like kind of a compact release until he has to throw the deep ball.
Right.
Noah is very compact, and there is just so much power that comes out of his ball that it kind of catches you off guard if you're not really prepared for it, because he's just not the typical kind of smaller, less powerful kind of kid. Like, he's got power. He's got some strength. He's got some oomph behind that ball. I think he's going to shock a lot of people this year, to be honest with you. And here you go, Mike. This is redemption. I will say this. I think by season's end, statistically speaking, Noah Fifita will be a top 3 quarterback in the country.
That's what we like to hear. Very, very good, Saul.
I definitely think that.
Yes,
I think Noah Fifita, the ceiling for Noah Fifita is higher than anybody else because of the expectations for Arizona. Most people think they're going to be 6, 7, 8 win team. Right. They get to 10 or 11. Well, Noah Fifita is going to be a huge reason why. And the way he plays the game, another year under his belt, the maturity, I just don't think it never seems like the game is too fast for him. Right. He just seems like he's in total control, and he's going to be even more control coming in this year, knowing that all the eyes are going to be on him, the expectations of the entire city of Tucson. I think he wears that shit on his sleeve, and he's ready to go. I'm excited for him.
I agree as well. Kip Bennett, the great Kip Bennett. I think Croskey-Merritt's going to be around 900 to 1,000 yards. I don't know if Conley's going to be quite there, but I think you're going to, between those two dudes, I think you're going to be looking at about 1,500 yards, something like that. I think that's kind of what you're looking at. But yeah, I agree with you. And honestly, the Big 12's got some interesting quarterbacks in play here, because you've got Avery Johnson at Kansas State that everybody's very high on. You've also got you got Cam Rising coming back. You got Wilson or Daniels, I can't remember what his name is, from Kansas, who's absolutely awesome as well. It's a good quarterback league. You got your guy Shador in there as well. I mean, you got a lot of dudes.
Mark my words, Noah Fifita or Avery Johnson will be first team all Big 12. One of those two. It won't be homie from Kansas, man. It ain't gonna happen. It'll be Avery Johnson or it'll be Noah Fifita.
Oh man, you're talking to the leader of the Noah Fifita club. I like all that stuff.
I'm a big Avery Johnson fan too. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think he's uber talented, and he can sling the rock and he can run the ball. Like, he is very, very good. And a lot of people just don't know him because he only played like 2 games towards the end of the season.
It is fascinating, though, that Kansas State's going to probably be the preseason favorite to win the conference. I agree. I think he's going to be good, but I think it's difficult with you have a quarterback that has started 1 game. I will take Arizona.
So Kansas State's going to be the favorite to win the Big 12, mostly because of consistency. But I think Arizona's ceiling is higher than anybody else's in the conference.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Yes. Totally agree with that. Yeah, we'll find with Cam Rising. I'll believe it when I see it, because again, when a guy's out 18 to 20 months, that's a difficult thing to come back from. One thing,
K-State is not middle of the pack. Gringo Billy. I hate to say it. I appreciate that comment, but they're not middle of the pack. They just aren't.
One thing that is definitely not middle of the pack is Circle K. You talk about elite. You talk about next level. You talk about things. We have a good follower of the show that is in Jamaica right now. And he Googled, we've been Googling Circle Ks. The nearest Circle K is an hour and a half away. I told him that if he went there and took a picture, that I would be very happy. I don't know that he is, but there's Circle Ks everywhere. Jamaica, Phoenix, Tucson, you name it, there is a Circle K. Here's the deal. Be like Saul Bookman. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Saul, did you go to Circle K today or yesterday?
I went yesterday to get some gas. Late last night.
All right. And you probably took advantage of that Inner Circle, did you not?
I saved myself 5 cents on gas.
Dude,
1,000,000%.
let's be honest. That's what we do around here, dude. Hustle and motivate. That's what we do. Hustle and motivate.
Yeah, nip it in the bud. Let's go.
Yep. T-Mac. Now let's talk T-Mac. This to me is going to be an interesting one. I think T-Mac, I don't know that he's going to be the 1,500 yard guy. I think he's going to get a lot of doubles because you obviously don't have Jacob Cowing this year. I think Malachi Riley is going to be a big beneficiary of it, but I still think T-Mac's going to be about 1,200 yards and 13 to 14 touchdowns. What say you?
I would say that that's a pretty fair assessment.
Right.
If he has 1,500 yards, that dude's in the Heisman conversation.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. This is the reason why quarterbacks get more love than wide receivers, is because though T-Mac athletically and is gifted and is going to be a top premium prospect for the NFL draft, it's going to rely on Noah Fifita's dissemination of the ball and how often he can get others involved to take the pressure off of T-Mac a little bit more. So that way he can take advantage of one-on-ones when those opportunities present themselves. And I think they're going to scheme T-Mac a little bit more to try and get him open. Obviously, if T-Mac doesn't touch the ball in the first half, you have a major problem. He should always touch the ball. So I would say for those reasons, tentatively, I would probably be at that 1,100 to 1,300 mark. I would say 10 touchdowns is reasonable.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. The only thing that worries me a little bit is the foot. Now, granted, they expect him to be fine by the time camp comes. I still hate wide receivers that get any kind of foot injuries. So that is something we'll obviously keep an eye on. Now, another one that we need to talk about the O-line, because last year the O-line was one of the best O-lines in the entire country. You had multiple first round picks on it, but you also saw too that when Jordan Morgan didn't play in the Alamo Bowl, it got a little dicey. It got a little hairy. So you got four positions that are lined up. You got Jonas Aveneo is going to be one of your tackles. You've also got Wendell Moy. You've got Josh Baker, and you've probably got Leif Magnuson. All solid. You got another opening at that tackle, and it's going to be interesting to see because you could either go with Raymond Polito. Polito, very talented, but he's very injury prone. Or Jonah Rodriguez is somebody the staff likes a great deal. He just transferred from San Diego State this year. Big fan of him. I think it's going to be one of those two. But again, you got to have tackles. You got to be able to get something on that O-line, because what we saw last year is the O-line is very good from a starting unit, but it is also dicey when you got into some of the backups. I would like to see some depth. There. Jonah Rodriguez and Raymond Polito, I say game on. You may the best man win.
I like Polito. I would probably stick with Polito just because I know that he's got the talent. Yes, he's injury prone. So that means, the other guy's going to get his chance too. He's going to get his chance at some point. So I would go with Polito because you want that experience on that line, especially when you go into the Big 12. By game 3, you need the big dogs ready to go.
Right now, Cade. All right, Cade, you're having fun. You want to know why? Because one school has a lot of scholarships to fill, the other one doesn't, my friend. And I will we'll leave it at that. We'll leave you with that, my friend. Let you go back to that one. But overall, I like the recruiting class. I think we're also going to find too that with Brent Brennan, it's a lot of this is going to be he's going to have to develop people. I mean, a lot of these dudes, one thing I got to give Jed Fish is, yes, he brought in some very talented kids, some very highly rated kids like your T-Max, your Speedy Luke fams, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of these dudes he developed from a Tacario Davis, who's going to be a first round pick, to a Jonas Sabanea. These were all three, those are guys who are going to be first round picks. He did it with some other players as well. You got to develop it. And, when you're at San Jose State, that's going to be something. The eye for talent, I think, is going to be something that we'll see very quickly if he can fill some of these spots.
Yeah, very quickly. Yeah. It's not going to take very long. I think everybody's going to be pleasantly surprised. I really do.
Right.
I got high hopes for Coach Brennan, man. I really do, because I feel like this could be such a tone setter as a program. You look at the historical programs in college sports history, and now the landscape is wildly different than it has ever been before. But I do feel pretty good and pretty confident that if you have the right guy in and they can send the right message and they can prove that they can be consistent,
Right.
you can get kids even if somebody else is offering more money on an NIL deal and stuff like that, because they know that you can develop them. They know that they feel, safe and trusted in this program. They know that they can get the things that they're really looking for in order to develop themselves to be the best player in person possible. And I think that's what Coach Brennan preaches on a day-to-day basis. So this is a tone-setting year. And it's right off the bat. There is no give me a year for Coach Brennan, unfortunately, because of the amount of talent he does have on this roster.
All right, Marcelo, Josh Baker was actually very good last year. The coaching staff was very happy with him. It was Joe Borhone who was the bigger concern in that game. So I would not worry about Josh Baker when it comes to that. But like we said, Saul, got to be 9 or 10. I believe got to be 9 or 10 wins. I know it's difficult to be able to say to a new coach, you got to win 9 or 10 games, but you got to win 9 or 10 games. Again, I'm not saying fire him if he doesn't win 9 or 10 games, but you got to be able to keep that momentum going. And if you can keep that momentum going, then it makes things easier. You mentioned earlier in the show that Arizona football is not exactly a brand. The way you start to make it a brand, the way you start to make it more relevant is starting to consistently string together those things. And you're not going to have a lot of times where you're going to have a better quarterback, wide receiver, DB than you got this coming year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
that's
be
ready to go.
That's kind of where we're at now. Wanted to switch over to a little bit of Arizona basketball. Dame Sarr. Now we can't, Jacob Franklin, we cannot play highlights, but Dame Sarr is he's a 5-star kid internationally. If Will Riley does not come to the U of A, that will be the next one that Arizona is going to try to add to the class. Dame Sarr is fantastic. You look at his highlights, he is going to be a one and done, but that's how Arizona basketball rolls, man. 1 5-star maybe doesn't work out. Guess what? You jump right in for 2 more 5 stars. You should check out his highlights sometime. He's very impressive.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect. Hopefully, it happens. But again, that's just what Arizona does. They just churn them out. That's just what they just churn them out.
Now let's talk KJ Lewis a little bit. What are you? I'm bigger on KJ Lewis in the NBA than I think some folks are. I believe that KJ Lewis can be a late lottery pick. I think he's legitimately 6'4". People keep saying he's 6'3". I think you're going to be surprised he's 6'4". He's already got the athleticism. He's got the body. What I think you're going to see this year is I think you're going to see him become a pretty decent shooter. The form is not broken at any point. It's not that Mustafa Shakur weird thing that you don't know exactly what's going on. And I think you're also going to see him be a little bit more clever off the bounce as well. I think people are sleeping on KJ Lewis as an NBA player, Saul.
I think the form needs a little tweaking. I think his release is a little too high. I think it could be a little bit more truncated. But I do agree. I think if he can prove the consistency from the perimeter, and he has to prove that. He has to prove that he can have that consistency from the perimeter, because athletically he's gifted enough. He very much reminds me of Josh Green.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost a carbon copy of Josh Green, a kid who had tremendous athleticism, not the greatest shooter in the world, but if they develop, then they can become a high lottery pick. And Josh Green was a lottery pick. Okay. And he only stayed a year. KJ is giving himself another opportunity to develop and realize that if he went to the NBA right now, he would probably be a second-round pick or maybe late first round and end up in the G League. And that's just not somewhere you want to be. So if KJ works at this the right way and he develops his shot more consistently, then yes, he will be a lottery pick next year because athletically he's second to none. But if that outside shot looks like it struggles, then he instantly becomes a tweener and you don't know what position you're going to put him in. And if you can't rely on the shooting, then really you're looking at a defensive stopper, and how elite of a defensive stopper can you possibly be in the NBA? That's a very, very tall task.
I think you're going to see Jaden Bradley and KJ Lewis surprise people with their 3-point shot. Bradley when made 44% of his threes. Again, I get that he didn't take a ton. I get it. But what I also like about both of these guys is that they both when the ball hits the rim, it flutters around, it bounces around. It doesn't look like it's going to go, skyscraping out of bounds because of how bad the form is. That's why I'm optimistic about it. And I think they both think that that's going to be the case there, Saul. So we will find out. But again, if he can make that 3-point shot go, all systems go, my friend, because then he's really the total package.
1,000,000%.
Yes, exactly. All right. Now, let's see here. The lottery is every team, Gringo Billy. The lottery is every single team that did not make the NBA playoffs. Generally, those picks are all lottery picks then. So unless there's a trade or something. So if you didn't make the NBA playoffs.
14. Was he picked 18th? Is that what it was? So maybe he was not a lottery pick. He missed it by a couple, but
yeah, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, so it's 1 through 14, but still your mid first round, that is pretty much where that's pretty much where it is at now. Oh, Wimby saying a lot of very mean things. All right. Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say to you, my friend. Nobody trolls ASU more than me. Period. But I also have no problem with admitting that I like somebody and I think they're a good person. I like a lot of these people on the other ASU side. So the whole thing is, like I said, nobody takes more arrows from ASU fans than me, but I also can say that people are good people. It's different. It's sports. We're in the toy section. It's okay to admit that. Period. It very much annoys me when I hear that argument. We'll leave it at that. Now with let's see here. They both need to not defer to Caleb for the outside shot. I think you're going to see Caleb Love drive a lot more. I think you're going to see Caleb Love. The goal for Caleb Love this year is to be able to get to the line 6 times per game. If he gets to the line 6 times per game, Saul, I think his field goal percentage is going to be far more efficient. I think he's going to be somewhere around 44-45% from the field. And let's be honest here. This is a guy that should live at the free throw line. He's got that type of ability like we talked about before. He's not the type of guy where you're like, all right, just stand on the perimeter and shoot the open 3 or take the quick step back. He needs to get to the line. He needs to get to the paint. And we saw that in the game, second half against Clemson. When Arizona made that run, he was getting to the basket. We need a season of that, Saul Bookman.
Yeah, we do. He needs to prove that he has the craftiness to be able to elevate and get shots off near the rim, to take the pressure off of the perimeter. And he has to be more consistent from the perimeter. Those two things. If those two things happen, he might be a first round pick. Right. Instead of just not picked up at all. So he has the ability. He has the talent. It's just, can he put it all together for one season and prove to these people that they're all wrong?
All right, front runner. Great point here about, let's see, John Rothstein picks Arizona as 5. I have no problem with picking Arizona as 5 because that still means you're one of the top 10 teams in the country. I mean, again, we're going to be in for a wake-up call next year because Kansas is going to be the unanimous preseason number 1. Then you're probably looking at Baylor. Then you've got Houston. Then you've got Iowa State. Then it's Arizona. Most people are probably going to pick Arizona 5, but as Andy Katz said the other day, if Arizona finishes 5th, that means they could still be a 3 seed. It's just a different element entirely. So yes, if they get that, then so be it, Saul. I'm all right with that.
Be ready to see that graphic on CBS for Selection Sunday when they're like key wins and it's Baylor, Kansas, Houston, and Iowa State, and then key losses: Baylor, Houston, Iowa State, Kansas. It might be both ways.
It's gonna be a murderer's row. That's why it's funny when people ask me, they're like, oh, how do you think ASU is going to do this year or something? The problem is they're going into this. I know they got a lot of talent, but they're going into this. Arizona, which has a much better roster, is probably going to be picked to finish 5th. They're going into that, and that. Let's see here. Angel C. What is this? Is not playing over and is not starting over. No. It's not playing over Waka. Correct. Yeah, you're right on that. You're right on that. Got no problem with that.
You got to read that out loud, buddy.
Oh, sorry. I do apologize.
Audio have no idea what you're murmuring about.
I do apologize. Very, very true. Very, very true. Mike, please tell the Delulu fans that Vasar is not playing over Waka and Carter is not starting over KJ. Correct. Yes, exactly. That's fine. Let's see. The Delulu. I like Delulu, by the way. I'm going to start using that a little bit more. But no, Tobe Waka is going to be the first big off the bench, barring something unforeseen. KJ Lewis will start. And Carter Bryant, again, I'm going to keep going back to this. People keep saying, like with Carter Bryant, when I say I think he's a 2-year player, that is a compliment because I still believe he's going to be a top 15 pick. And we talked about it the other day. I am in the era now where I am far more interested in getting the 2-year player than the 1-year player that's going to be off to the NBA. The 1-year player, I think, can have a lot of talent, But you know what? It's like a Cody Williams thing. They have 10 points, 5 rebounds, and then they're out the door. I will much, much prefer taking somebody like a KJ Lewis, for example, who's 7 points, 3 or 4 rebounds, 3 or 4 assists. And then as a sophomore, he's 14, 5 and 4. I think that is the new one and done, is the 2 and done. I like that. And again, you also got to remember, this ain't the Pac-12 anymore. And, Carter's dad was very honest about it. He said, it's going to be a lot different competition for my son, from a physicality, from a strength perspective. You got to remember that. It's not going to be the same thing.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Right.
It's going to be tough. I think college athletics has just shifted so much in the mindset over the course of the last 3 decades, especially in the last 5 years with NIL and the money that's being offered to kids. Like, you have more of an opportunity to retain kids than ever before,
right.
because now the money's involved. And if you have good money and if you have a good program, you can retain these kids. But again, man, I never thought, I tweeted this today about the Dan Hurley possibly going to the Lakers. I tweeted about, I never thought I'd see a day where a college sport, whether it be football or basketball, would be a more volatile position than an NBA head coaching position.
Right.
But here we are. Like, you could easily see a scenario where if Dan Hurley went 500 for the next 2 years, they would fire him before he got to year 3.
Right.
Because even though he just won back-to-back national championships, like, that's how quick people are to pull the trigger on things. And, if you do things in the NBA at a high level, you can keep your job for a while. But the constant movement in college athletics to try and get new kids in here, to try and figure out where to get the money, that's just a lot of headaches.
Well,
to get paid 4 times as much as you might get paid here.
Right.
Yeah, I could see why somebody like Dan Hurley would want to go to the NBA.
Well, Billy Donovan was asked about this about 3 or 4 years ago, and Billy Donovan, had he stayed in college, would have probably gone down as one of the handful of best college basketball coaches ever. He already had 2 national titles by the time he was like 47 or whatever the case may be. He's gone on to the NBA, and he's been kind of a mediocre head coach. And they always ask him, they're like, well, do you have any inkling to go back to college? And he says, no. He says, this is a lot easier. And he says, I don't have to deal with massaging egos. I don't have to deal with, seeing what somebody's family background is, whatever the case may be. And this is a guy that's essentially been a 500 coach in the NBA, as opposed to being one of the absolute elites. It's just an easier job. They like it more. Just is what it is.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit of an easier job. You still have to stroke the egos. I mean, that's definitely, no doubt. I don't know what that quote would be from Billy Donovan. But
I think what he was more referring to is, I don't have to talk with the family. I don't have to talk with the, all of that stuff.
As much as I love the fam and stuff, man, I couldn't even imagine, like, okay, I just dealt with little Billy's not getting playing time. He doesn't understand why, because he was an elite athlete at modern day. Now I'm trying to coach him up and trying to teach him why. And then I get a phone call or a text from, mom or dad saying, hey, why isn't little Billy playing more? You promised this, you promised that. And it's just like, oh my gosh, the headache that probably comes with. Much props to these coaches, man. Like, it used to be a dream of mine to be a high school basketball coach, because back in the day, coaching high school basketball meant something.
Right.
But as the AAU, scenario or scene has shifted, now it's all about making money and AAU and exploitation of these kids. Yeah. And I want to be as far away from youth sports as possible, because I just don't like it. I don't like that side of things.
And the thing about it too is that, like, we kind of saw this a little bit with the Saint On thing, is that I don't want to have to deal with, not only now do you have to deal with agents, you have to deal with runners. You have to deal with guys who aren't even agents, but they see that some kid is really talented. They start lurking with the family. They start telling him how they can help them. All of this stuff. It's just a way to be able to get money. Now, AAU, now listen, back in the day, AAU was a very good thing, because it gave exposure to some kids that just otherwise wouldn't get exposure.
And it was more of an off-season thing.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, but the days of Gilbert Arenas not being known as a high school senior, those days are long gone. I mean, everybody out there, there's 10 billion different recruiting services. So you're able to, but again, it is kind of cancerous. I agree with that. I watch these, and whenever you go to a tournament, you'll see it up in Section 7, you can always see kind of the hangers on, which you're used to seeing, with college athletes, or you're used to seeing with NBA athletes. You're not used to seeing it at least 15, 20 years ago with high school, where everybody's got somebody trying to leech onto them. And a lot of these kids too, and it's unfortunate, a lot of these kids come from, sometimes broken families where you've got these vultures that are seeing that and they're like, well, I can be the person. I can be that person. It just kind of stinks. That was just my rant, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I agree.
What can you tell me about chicken and pickle?
Chicken and pickle is pretty dope. Chicken and pickle. We're doing a little sports trivia out there at Chicken and Pickle in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, we're going out there. A couple hours. Come out, get some food, some drink. It's great food and drink, by the way. Phenomenal. And we're going to do sports trivia. It's not just trivia night. It is definitely sports trivia. We are going to be asking you some Arizona-based sports questions for this first go around. It is all. If you think you know everything there is about Arizona sports, well, then come out. Bring your other 3 pals and see if you have what it takes to win the night, because it's going to be fun as hell.
Head on over to chickenandpickle.com to see all their fun you can have at their Glendale location. Very, very good time. Saul Bookman did a very good job of reading that one. Do you think Danny Hurley's going to go to the Lakers?
It sounds like it. It sounds like he is.
Right.
We'll see who's the one that has the actual information correct. Is it going to be Shams or is it going to be Woj? But I think it's going to be Woj.
By the way, I love watching these two guys go at it because they have such massive egos, and every single tweet is a shot at the other person, even if it's subliminally or not. Like we'll say, unlike previous reports that had JJ Redick going to the Lakers, I can confirm that is not true. The obstacle or the target now is Danny Hurley, and it's like these guys are so petty and I get it. It's that's how they make their reputation. But man, that's a tough way to make a living, man. Just always having to rely on a scoop and always having to take a little bit of a jab at somebody else you're competing with. No thanks, I'm good. No thanks, don't want that.
It's not a world for me for sure. I listen. I think the one thing that we haven't talked about yet, and we probably should just at least mention it for a second. I do wonder what the ripple effects are going to be if Dan Hurley leaves. Then that Connecticut roster is going to be wide open. And those kids have 30 days. And we've been in that position in football. We know what that feels like, where you have 30 days and you're just praying to God you don't lose everybody.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be after some of those UConn kids because they want national champions. They want kids that know what it takes to win the title. So they're going to be coveted. And I wonder, how many roster spots do we have?
We got 2, probably. So, well, yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying it'll be interesting to see if that happens. We'll definitely see. But like I said, UConn's got a really loaded roster. They're going to be a preseason top 5 team again. We will find that one out. I can't speculate on that yet because I do not know, but we will definitely keep people up to date on that one.
They will do their due diligence on it for sure.
For sure. Nothing gets these people by surprise. The fact that they're already on to Dame Sarr, if Will Riley doesn't come here, they know what they're doing. Shout out Murph, back the A member Murph. Now the Saul. What's going on at PHNX from an event perspective as well?
Why don't y'all listen, man? Some of you guys, I really do appreciate you all jumping in the Mercury chat of late, showing Erica some love, but also come up to Phoenix next Thursday. We have a takeover where we eat phenomenal pizza. It's at the Desmond. Phenomenal pizza. I'm going to give you guys some alcohol, some beer, drink of your choice. To start the night off. And then we're all going to mob over to the arena together. We're going to sit in I think it's the 7th row, basically courtside, and watch a WNBA game against the defending world champion Las Vegas Aces. If you have never experienced a WNBA game, this is a great opportunity to do so. So come out, hang out with us. You're going to hang out with Erica. You're going to hang out with Stephen Pridgeon, my guy from Chicago that we're flying out here just to experience this event with everybody. It's going to be a great time, great food, great people. You can't go wrong. So come check it out.
Are you working on the Copper State shirts?
We'll see.
I do think that I will sign away that trademark for you guys since I came up with this.
Appreciate it.
I will sign it away. Now, wanted to get into something. Wanted to do a little bit of a kind of an in-state list. Saul Bookman played against some of these players here. Before we sign up, wanted to talk the top 5 players, homegrown players, basketball-wise, in Arizona high school history. No DeAndre Ayton, none of that stuff where you come in for a year and you prep at a place. You have to be from here. You have to be loyal to the soil, like Saul Bookman. And we will. So let's do this, Saul. Who do you have at number 5, my friend?
Number 5. I'm going to say Channing Frye.
I got Channing Frye as well.
Number 5, Channing Frye. Channing Frye was pretty legit.
Channing Frye was fun too, because he also had he played with the Fontenot brothers. One went to Oregon State and the other one. These guys were all-time shooters. They shot they shot every single time. And Channing Frye only averaged like 14 points a game in high school. And then he got to the U of A, averaged 10 and 6 as a freshman. Very, very good. I go him at 5 as well.
St. Mary's product.
St. Mary's product. Exactly. Now.
We got a couple of them on the list.
You got a couple of them on the list. I do not have a couple of them on the list.
Who you got next?
I got RJ at 4.
Ooh, RJ at 4, huh?
I got RJ at 4. Moon Valley's finest, really broke out at the double pump off in Los Angeles. He was actually on the front page of front page of Sports Illustrated. I still have the article as a high school senior, and overall, just awesome, man. Like I said, 20-point per game score in the NBA for quite a while. Really good dude. Backs the A like no other. RJ is number 4 for me.
I played in the double pump.
Did you?
Yeah, I played in the double pump with the Arizona Heat back in the day. Good old shout out to Elliot Glab and Coach G. Hope you're doing well, buddy.
Awesome. Yeah, is that one that lives next to Jacob Franklin?
Got a courtside offer to play at Stephen F. Austin, even though it was the day before signing day.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't take it. So anyway, yeah. So you have RJ at 4. I actually have Jared Bayless at 4.
Interesting.
Jared, so back-to-back St. Mary's products at number 4. Jared Bayless set records up here, scoring wise, and then obviously he did his thing down at U of A. So I got those. I got those 2.
All right, number 3, I've got Fat Lever, 2-time NBA All-Star, Tucson.
I thought that there was something funny going on. So I thought you meant like that actually played at Arizona too. I didn't realize we were just talking about just the state.
No. But we can do that one as well. But then my list would be, let's see, what would my list be then? It would be
basically you'd have to swap out.
Yeah, it would be Channing at 5. I think I'd probably go Nick Johnson at 4. I'd go Jared Bayless at 3.
Ooh, Nick Johnson at 4.
Yeah.
I didn't even have Nick Johnson on my list.
Interesting. Who do you have?
I have RJ at 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a toss. To me, it's such a hard toss up.
Right.
Between these two. I'm going to go Bibby 2 and Sean Elliott 1, simply because though Bibby was the best player I've ever seen in Arizona high school basketball history. I never got to see Sean Elliott in person.
Right.
But I give Sean Elliott the slightest edge because, folks, as much as I love Tucson, Cholla is not an easy program to play at. It's not, and at that time, it was not an easy neighborhood to grow up in either.
A mountain.
And the talent around him was not vast. So the fact he did with what he did to get to the U of A, being state player of the year and just being just crazy balls out, awesome player. Bibby had other college players on his team. Like Bibby had Nick Green.
There you go, Nick Green. You got it.
He had one of my. Okay, so I got to tell you a story.
What do you got?
There was a player on the Shadow Mountain team who actually played on my club team, and to this day I still laugh about this. We're running sprints as this club team, right? And I don't want to out this kid because he was a good guy. He was a really good kid. He had an ego about him, especially since he won the state championship with Bibby. He thought his shit did not stink. So he comes back to our club team, ego big as hell. And he is just screwing up big time. Every single layup he's missing. He's late on the 30, 20, 10s. We're running our asses off. And our coach just loses it and finally stops practice. And he's just like, I wish your parents were here and I would be able to identify them because they're probably like, I'm Dickhead's son on their chest, on their shirt. And I was like, oh my gosh. And all of us start laughing because we're kids. We don't know anything better. For sure. And I swear we ran for like 6 more hours because of him. He ended up he did end up playing Division I basketball too, which is the killer because he did not suck. He just had a bad practice.
Interesting. All right. I like that story. So we got, but again, Sean Elliott, Mike Bibby, whichever way you want to put it, those are 1 and 2. That is the creme de la creme. Like I said, my thing I always tell people, Mike Bibby, second best player in all of high school basketball behind Kobe Bryant. My
father-in-law, huge Fat Lever fan. He actually played against Fat Lever in the parks. And he said that when the first time he saw Fat Lever, it was the most amazing thing he's ever seen in terms of athleticism. And to this day, like, I swear, like, every time we have lunch or anything, he's like, "Hey, have I told you about Fat Lever?" I was like, "Yes,
hey,
you've
you
told
want to know a crazy
times."
stat? Guess who he retired with the second most triple doubles in NBA history, Fat Lever, behind Magic Johnson.
At the time.
Yeah. He averaged, he had multiple years where he averaged 18 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists per game. And this is back, obviously, in the back in the 80s. But another one against Michael Jordan. There's a very cool YouTube video where he drops 45 points, 18 rebounds, and 14 assists, with MJ guarding him some of the time as well. Fat Lever, big shout out to my guy Lafayette. Fat Lever.
Yeah, Fat Lever is definitely, listen, if you're talking about the best players ever in Arizona, the state of Arizona, like, yes, Fat Lever is definitely top 3 for sure.
The top 3 are top.
And obviously he's top 2 when it comes to Tucson. But the two of the 3 best players of all time in the state of Arizona have come from Tucson.
From Tucson, Arizona, 520 in the house, friends, in the house. All right, Saul, you got your what do you guys got going on later today? Anything good?
Yeah, PHNX Suns at 3:00. Come join us. We're going to talk about a lot of just random stuff. Probably talking about more of the Dan Hurley going to the Lakers. Does that mean anything for LeBron? And more importantly, well, not more importantly, but special episode of Outside Shots at 4:30 this afternoon. Myself, Eddie Johnson, we're gonna be kicking it, talking about some ball, man. It's gonna be fun, so come check it out.
All right, you know where to go. All right, for the great Saul Bookman, the boss, for Jacob Franklin behind the scenes, who I have not seen or talked to today. Actually, I called Jacob earlier today, so that's not true. I am merely Mike Luke. We will be back with you tomorrow. As always, very much appreciate your comments. You're smarter than me. I rely on you. We will see you tomorrow, same time, 10:30, AZ Wildcats podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.